Welcome back. It's been a long time since we've done one of these. We're here talking about Star Trek Enterprise. It's been a busy couple of weeks, but things have finally calmed down. We're going to be talking about Breaking the Ice, Star Trek Enterprise episode. But also, we got these cool little things from Twink. We're going to be talking about those as well. Thank you for joining us in the chat. We're trying to really pump out more Star Trek content to diversify this channel and the Illuminerdi a little bit more, bringing in new content creators. We have collaborated a lot with Eric Berry from Range Command Power Hour doing our show.
Dude, he is like a Star Trek encyclopedia.
He is. He really is. He knows a lot about this. But we want to thank you guys to this chat. I got my good buddy in here, Heirloom. We also got Donnie Pearson, Thomas Franco, Edward Sanchez. Thank you guys all so much for joining us on this beautiful Saturday, wherever you're joining us and streaming from. Now, there's a lot going on in the Star Trek world that we missed out on because we've been so engulfed into Power Rangers. But now we get back to our regular scheduled programming. We had Star Trek Day.
Yeah, I'm hoping tonight I'll be able to go home, just sit down and watch through like all these panels because they had an Enterprise panel, they had a Voyager panel, they had Next Generation, they had Picard. I think I was just talking with Heirloom. I think they did some Star Trek Online stuff. Strange New Worlds. Like they had a panel with all the cast from that. And I'm so excited for that show.
You know, how about, look, throwing it out there. I know Heirloom and I, or as Heirloom's working with us on another show we're developing here at the Illuminerdi. But, you know, who's to say that Heirloom might be a good fit for one of our Star Trek shows if he's up for it? Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, we got Discovery coming up.
We got Discovery coming up,
Strange
Heirloom.
New Worlds sometime next year.
We added Crystal to our team, so somebody that we haven't spoken a lot about is Crystal.
Yeah.
She's a new member of our Star Trek team, so we're really excited. Everything seems to be ramping up Star Trek-wise, so a lot of you guys that know us from Power Rangers, we are expanding our content to get into Star Trek, so hopefully you can enjoy the journey with us. Now, we do got some pretty cool things. Josh, you want to give us a rundown of what these bad boys are?
Yeah, so Twink Toys, you may have seen us promote some stuff from them before. I know sometime last week up on our Twitter, we put they have a Star Trek dinnerware set.
Yeah.
It's if you guys are familiar with companies like Merchoid and ThinkGeek, they're very similar. They have all licensed products for all kinds of different things. Everything from like Star Trek to like the Golden Girls. Like there was a Golden Girls Mount Rushmore like Chia Pet thing that I saw there. Yeah. So these are stemless wine glasses that have the Starfleet insignia on it, which you can kind of see on the front there. And each one inside of the Starfleet insignia has the sub insignia for either like the medical department or the command department or sciences. And what was the fourth one? Security? I think security.
Security, science, command. Is there communication?
And medical.
Medical, all right.
Engineering.
Engineering.
Sciences, engineering, command, and medical.
Now, it's interesting looking at this box art. I don't know if we can zoom in.
Yeah. Let me pull up the other shot here.
So taking a look at the box art, the one thing that's glaringly I notice is that this version of Kirk, upon further like distance, it looks like William Shatner. But if you look closely, it actually looks like William Shatner mixed with Chris Pine, which I find very fascinating.
It does.
These boxes are pretty cool. Like I almost don't want to open them because they are so cool.
Right? I mean, they're pretty decent boxes.
They're etched wine glasses. All we need is wine now.
I mean, we've got them up. Why don't we just like pop them open?
Yeah, let's find out what these bad boys look like. Also, one thing that we have now available to you guys is the Super Chat. So if you are enjoying our show, please hit us in the Super Chat. We truly appreciate it. That's helped support the show. Keep the lights on here at the Illuminerdi. But also, what we would like for you guys to do is tweet this show out if you're a Star Trek fan on social media. We will retweet the show. I probably should have done a better job of tweeting the show out because I did not do that. And once we get a break here at some point, I'm sure I will.
So this one is the medical version.
So we probably want to put them in screen here, right?
Yeah. So let's see. They're clear, so I don't know how.
So these styrofoam, these little styrofoam things will keep these things safe in travel. Here's this one. What logo do you think this is? What logo is that?
That, I believe that is the Sciences. It should say on the bottom of the box, on like where the barcode is. There's a little.
This one is called from Surreal Entertainment. Star Trek. You can now. Where can you get these, Josh?
Twink.com. If you go to our Instagram, I believe you can click on the link.
This is engineering.
That's engineering.
This is engineering.
Huh, that's interesting. I wonder if
put it against the black, maybe you can see it better. I don't know.
Let me see. Here, let me use the back of my phone. Maybe.
Yeah, That's engineering right there. These
Yeah,
is
there's
harder to
that
see
line.
because they are see-through. But
Yeah.
maybe if we had wine in there, it might be a little bit easier. But that is engineering, which is pretty cool. That's probably. Would you say that that's the one that you like?
Probably. Let's see what these other two look like though. Which one is that?
This one is science.
Okay, and this one is command.
Let's check out the science one. These are pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Now, if you're a wine drinker like some of our friends here, you know, this one is pretty cool. I like this one. This is science here. Let's see if I can get it good. There it is. Look at that. That's the wine glass for science department. I know Crystal's getting one. I know Eric Berry's getting one.
Let's see, I can.
Oh, I love the command one. That's my favorite one. Look at that. There it is. There it is.
My hand behind it there.
So thank you so much for.
I think this out a little bit more the next time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Twink, for providing these beautiful wine glasses. We are probably going to be indulging in these a little bit later on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Off camera.
Head over to the Trader Joe's.
Yeah,
there.
probably pick up a glass of wine and indulge in our Star Trek fandom. Now, for all of you guys that are in the chat, I'm very curious to know, because this is our first time doing this in a couple of weeks. What is your favorite season of Star Trek? We want to know that right off the bat. And which one of these different little subcategories would you be in? Would you be in engineering? Would you be in
dirty ass thing helps?
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Would you be in engineering? Would you be in command? Would you be in medical? Or would you be in science? Those are the four that we have. Now, Josh, which one of these four are you in?
Man, it would have to either be sciences or engineering.
Okay.
Most likely engineering, because I'm always putting things together and taking things apart.
Yeah, so engineering would be. I think mine would be command 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that one has my name on it. So these are all really cool. Go to Twink and get one of these. How can people find Twink?
So you can go to twink.com, Twink Toys on Twitter. I believe it's Twink Toys on Instagram as well. We also have a deal with them. So we'll post a link on our Twitter later after the show, and you'll be able to go and buy these and help support us at the same time.
So it's an access code or something?
Well, it's just a link. It's an affiliate link.
An affiliate link. There you go. We should put that in the descriptions of this episode.
Yeah.
We'll probably change that a little bit later. So let's talk about Star Trek Day. Let's talk about all the cool things that kind of came out of it. I know that I didn't watch any of the panels because I don't want to spoil myself. However, there was some, they handled Star Trek Day really well.
They did.
At least in comparison to Power Ranger Day. So let's talk about some of the
Star Trek Day stuff. And you guys who watched it, I know some of you guys did. It seemed like it was very similar to what DC did with DC Fandom,
right?
Which is also going on right now too. Sorry, what was your question?
Just kind of like how well they handled it. Some of the cool things that they had.
Yeah.
So what they had panels from most of all the seasons.
Yeah, let me pull up a list here.
Did they have any announcements coming out of Star Trek Day?
There weren't any announcements that I saw. We didn't get any new information off of Prodigy, as far as I know.
That's our new Star Trek show.
That's the Nickelodeon show that's going to be coming up. Let's see, Star Trek Day.
Yeah, you can tell we were super prepared for this show.
Sorry, I just drove in from working on another show earlier. Star Trek Day. All right, so we've got. There was a little bit of news. There was a Star Trek Lower Decks coloring book.
That's interesting. So the Star Trek Lower Decks coloring book means that Star Trek is finally realizing, well, it's almost the opposite effect of Power Rangers. And I bring this up quite often, but there are some parallels between the two shows. Except Star Trek, I feel like, is a reverse Power Rangers, where it's mostly an adult audience that needs to get younger, whereas Power Rangers is mostly a child audience that needs to get older. So both of these parallel each other in very opposite ways. They're like the yin and the yang. With Star Trek now, though, it really feels like they're listening to their fans and giving fans more content. Because when's the last time in Star Trek, Josh, that you saw this kind of hard push and resurgence kind of like this? Because I felt like maybe when we got Generations back when it was the original series. Yeah. Not original, but Next Generation.
Right. I would say towards the end of TNG. Because at the end of TNG, we got Deep Space Nine. And then 4 years into Deep Space Nine, 4 years into Deep Space Nine, we got the announcement about Voyager, and then 5 years into Deep Space Nine, we actually got the season's premiere of Voyager, and then right after Voyager, we got Enterprise that following fall. So I feel like that era was probably the last time we had this big push, because at that same time that all those series were going on, we had all the Next Generation Star Trek movies up until Nemesis kind of broke the franchise.
Heirloom says that TNG and Voyager are his favorite seasons, and he would be in Command. That hit Command would also be his route. Donnie Pearson says that my recent Star Trek merch I bought was from Eagle Moss, official Star Trek Discovery ships collection. Those were the mini metal kind of ships. Those are pretty cool.
Those are really dope.
I have Eagle Moss also collectibles. I have I was trying to get all the X-Men characters.
Oh yeah.
So I was a big fan of that. Now his season, he chose Voyager, is one of his seasons. So that's pretty cool about that. Now I'm excited more so about what Star Trek has on the horizon. Now I'm a big Enterprise fan. We all know that. And I'm kind of worried when Enterprise ends.
So how far are you now? I know you started watching it again yesterday.
Listen, here's the deal. As you know, this Power Rangers has been engulfed my life.
Right, and you restarted watching Power Rangers again too, right?
Yeah, I'm doing this weird, look,
crazy.
I'm not allowed to say why I'm doing any of this stuff because it's for a very very specific reason, which I shared to you because I have to grow certain things. But that's the reason I was like, listen, what are the things that I'm really into, right? I'm really into superheroes. I'm really into Power Rangers. I'm really into Star Trek, and I'm really into wrestling. But I'm also really into movies. So, I had to sit down with somebody yesterday, and they had to pretty much map out to me and tell me, this is what the shit that you need to be posting. I shouldn't have said, yeah, but it's kind of but it's such a mixed bag because you don't know. But anyways, I'm really into Star Trek, and I was watching, I'm kind of sad, I could have flew through. I know for a fact I could have flew through Enterprise all last night, or even all yesterday. But I got caught up in and everything was busy because it's Power Ranger news stuff. But anyway, now that I'm fully back with Enterprise, we got to these grouping of great episodes. Right.
And I'm you saw the time travel episode and the mirror.
Yeah, and both of those episodes, they're not necessarily things that you can watch in the background for me. Right. I need to be fully invested. And if I'm not fully invested, I don't want to watch it because I don't want to ruin my experience of Enterprise because I have such a loving experience with this franchise right now. And it's fascinating because I'm sure that a lot of people that watch Star Trek, it's almost kind of like saying most of you guys are all Power Ranger fans that are watching this as well. But it's almost like saying for those Power Ranger fans, oh no, I started it Power Rangers Wild Force. Right, you know what I mean? Right. And so it's it is a little bit bizarre, but I do dig it. But these rewatches have been a lot of fun for me personally.
Yeah, I'm. It's interesting for me. I mean, we're kind of rehashing stuff that we talked about when we first started this, but it's
like a catch up, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's been a month since we've done this. For me, at the beginning,
you want to fill one of these for me, Brandon?
At the beginning.
Thanks, buddy. Brandon Zachary here from our comic guy, and he writes a lot of our stuff. He's here. He's in the studio.
I hadn't seen Enterprise since 2010, maybe. I think is about the time when I watched it. So it's been 10 years. So now that I'm watching it for the second time through, there's a lot that I just didn't remember. So it's kind of exciting getting through all.
Even watching today's episode, there's a lot that I didn't remember. I almost forgot that today's episode, yes, it's slower pace, and we're going to get into that very soon. But you want some of that, Josh?
What is it? What is it?
It's whiskey.
You like whiskey?
Yeah.
It's good.
I mean, these are wine glasses, but hey.
Yeah, but that's not mixing whiskey, right?
No.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
No, what do you mean it's not mixing whiskey?
Like you're not going to mix it, put it into a mixer.
You can mix it with lemonade.
Oh. Yeah, all right. Let's do that.
Let me see more glasses.
Which one was it taking?
Get your sciences.
One.
Oh, no, your engineering one. This is engineering.
Yeah, that's engineering. It's engineering.
Can I get McCoy? Can I be the doctor?
Yeah, you got the doctor. You can be the doctor.
You got to wash it out. Actually, if you'd rinse these out, that'd be great.
It's too late. I'm probably going to get COVID now.
It's sterilization.
Alcohol kills germs. So this is Star Trek done right. Drinking drinks and talking Star Trek. Well, look, we're not going to rehash all the stuff that we talk about. You can go in here and do it. Yeah. We're not going to rehash all the stuff we talk about in our previous episodes, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about in this one. Yeah. Because this is a great character building episode. But by the way, before we do that, I know that Crystal will be back on the show next week with her
Lower Decks. Right. Yeah. So we've got she just sent me her review for Lower Decks episode 5. She's currently working on her review for episode 6. So both of those will be up within the next couple of days. I think we decided Monday. is when those are going up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wow, that's a kick.
So
No, we did say Monday, right?
Yeah. Monday.
Because we're dropping some week. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll be able to see her reviews of episodes 5 and 6 of Lower Decks on Monday, and then we should be caught up with regular reviews going there forward, starting with on this show. I'm caught up. This last episode was really fun.
Is it?
Yeah.
I saw Eric Berry from Range Command Power tweeting a little bit saying that he
Thank
liked
you.
one of the characters that he can see them in live action. He would like one of the characters that he'd like to see in live action.
Which character was it?
I don't
Do you
remember. I can't remember. the tweet.
I
I should have saved it and cropped it.
I can look that up.
But yeah, I'm excited about this Lower Decks thing because the only reason I haven't watched it is because timeline wise, I don't feel like I'm there yet. Right, Josh?
Yeah. Well, not only timeline are you not there yet, but I feel like there's so many Easter eggs and references in it that if you don't remember the series or know the series that those references are from, things are just going to go right over your head. So a lot of the jokes that they're making, you're going to be like, all right, was that funny? I don't get it. So there's a lot there that will make sense, but then like some of the more like deep cuts, it'll just kind of.
This is really good whiskey, bourbon. I like it. I like it.
All right, so I just pulled up
Okay.
Eric Berry's Twitter here. So let me see if I can find out which one he was talking about.
So this episode today, we're going to be talking about breaking the ice on Star Trek Enterprise. This followed the Andorian incident. So
yes.
This is going to be right into that. Now, the thing about this one here is that it's going to jumpstart us.
Badgie. Yeah, okay. So you guys have to watch the episode. Badgie is like, do you remember Clippy from like Microsoft Word?
Yeah, the clip art guy?
Yeah. So Badgie is like that.
Ooh, Heirloom's not a huge fan of Lower Decks. It is
really?
not vibing for him.
I can understand that.
Is that right?
Yeah. Like I just enjoy really stupid humor things like Rick and Morty. And while Lower Decks is a completely different show than Rick and Morty is, it still has that kind of humor.
So it takes Star Trek a little less seriously.
A lot less seriously.
So fans of that hardcore, like, see, this is interesting because I feel like you always have these kind of like, not in every fandom, but you made it is when you have these kind of spoof projects that are still like in continuity. And we've had that in DC when they had that show with Vanessa Hudgens.
Powerless. Yeah.
So and then also Marvel was developing the damage control. So
I mean, even shows like Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
and Batman the Brave and the Bold, like they're more humorous, like funny takes on it that don't take themselves seriously.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what's needed in a franchise like Star Trek. Now, let's get into this week's episode that we're going to be talking about, Breaking the Ice. This is a Star Trek episode, what number?
This is 8, I believe.
Are we on the right episode count? Remember last time we kind of...
Yeah, and I honestly, on the thumbnail, I think I screwed up because I only put the title. I don't think I changed the number.
All good, but we are on episode 8 of Enterprise. Let's get into this episode. Now,
let's see, episode 8.
Let's talk to me, Josh. Talk to me about some of the highlights for you on this episode.
The highlights, like I really enjoyed the trip with Travis down to the planet, or not to the planet, to the ice comet, and just like him saying, "I've never seen snow before," and building a snowman, and all that kind of stuff, and the dynamic between Archer and the Vulcans that were kind of trailing them. Like, okay, so for you, how did you feel about the Vulcans kind of, I can't say, like, I don't want to say they were spying, just kind of keeping tabs on what...
I find the Vulcans fascinating because obviously as a Star Trek fan, you know that, like, the first Vulcan you think of is Spock, right?
Right.
And you kind of know that their race is kind of, or their species really kind of, they hold themselves in a higher regard. They look at humans almost a little bit more primitive, and you kind of get that display on here. But I find it a little ironic that the Vulcans are spying on the humans, whereas the Andorians were spying on the Vulcans.
But the Andorians were spying on the Vulcans because the Vulcans were spying on the Andorians.
Yeah, so like... It's fascinating the way that they kind of frame the Vulcans in this show, especially in the early stages of the show, because it almost gives you this sense of like uneasiness that they're up to something.
Well, I mean, they are.
Obviously.
Like I think what it comes down to though is that the Vulcans are so set in their ways and believe that everyone should be doing things the same way that they are, that they feel they have to keep tabs on everyone else in the galaxy to make sure that they're doing things how they see fit.
But I actually think that's the beauty of Star Trek Enterprise, is that because you kind of get this setup, but is the further you go along the series, you see how the Vulcans start reevaluating how they look at other species.
Right. Well, I mean that's all. The name of this episode is Breaking the Ice,
and I love that.
It's not just about breaking the ice on the comet. It's about breaking the ice with the Vulcans too, because like you see that there's a small little breakthrough in this episode where Archer finally admits, okay, we need help. So he contacts the Vulcan ship and asks them, and then after that, it's a still not a great relationship, but it's better.
One thing that I loved also about this is when they were all doing that kind of like that school type of like, because this is a real character episode.
Yes, yeah.
So
I loved that.
I almost forgot about it, and there's so many great comedic beats in it that shouldn't be great, but they are, and they work. They land. Like, I love the fact that Trip, he's like, people are gonna think I'm a sanitation
I mean, but
officer.
even before that, it started with the cold open where where he's looking at all the pictures that they got from the class, and he's like trying to give one to Paul, and she's just like, what am I gonna do with him?
So good. I really, really enjoy episodes like this. Is this also where they have that dinner or like lunch in the beginning, and they talk about the first contact?
No, that was a few episodes ago.
Oh, okay.
This one they had dinner with the Vulcan captain from the other ship.
That's right. So yeah, overall, man,
Archer was getting really passive aggressive.
See, here's the thing. Archer is I find Archer as such a fascinating dude, because he's a guy that, of course, he has the spirit of adventure and the spirit of exploration, but he's also very selfless at times. And you kind of get this version of Archer that is, yes, adventurous, but also kind of like there's a tinge of cockiness to him.
Yeah.
Almost of like, listen, we're gonna go out there and do things, and you're gonna deal with it, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
I know we've said this before, but he's Indiana Jones in space.
He is Indiana Jones in space. Honestly, for me right now, and again, not super familiar with other captains,
right?
But it's hard for me to see another captain being better than Archer in my version, because I think Archer to me is like he's the one dude as of right now. I would be like, he's like, yeah, we're gonna do this. This is the plan, and I'd be like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. I'm on board for it. Like, Archer gets me on board for it.
See, it's interesting to me because like I see a lot of parallels between him and Sisko from Deep Space Nine.
Really?
Like Sisko, they're almost the same, but at the same time, complete opposites. Sisko is just like this dude who's trying to have his family. You know, like he's got a son Sisko there, or his son Jake. They're on the space station with him, but things are coming to him instead of him going out to other things. But he's that same sort of, you know, we have to face all this like head on.
Well, I mean, I think another cool thing about Archer as well is that he seems like a captain to me that would never ask his crew to do something he wouldn't do himself.
Yeah.
And you can almost tell he inserts himself in these away missions quite often because A, I feel, yes, he wants to experience it, but B, he also doesn't want to, like, every loss on his ship is something he actually takes to heart. Every life on his ship is something he remembers. And I love that Archer is really about his crew and about his ship. He is, to me, I think Archer's a captain's captain. You know what I mean? He's a person that kind of sets the tone for what captains are going to be following, which is interesting because, ironically enough, yes, in chronological order, he is the first captain that we kind of get introduced to. But in the actual show history, he's probably our, fourth or fifth captain?
We had Kirk. Well, I mean, technically Spike, if you want to count that, but
Pike,
in real, it would have been Kirk, Picard, Sisko, Janeway, and then Archer. So he's
the fifth captain. That's insane to me that he is so well thought out. Now, Erlem, he's in the chat right now, and he says Sisko's a great captain. Mainly, he's a lot different. Never used to like him as a kid, but after rewatching DS9, he's a great captain.
I agree. That's Next Generation had been my favorite series, even after watching Deep Space Nine the first time around. But then a few years ago, I rewatched Deep Space Nine, and I was like, oh, I really like Sisko. And then I rewatched it again, like maybe 6 months ago, and that has quickly become my favorite Star Trek series.
Do you kind of feel that, like, as Star Trek goes on, some of these seasons age differently, whether or not the reception was there in the beginning, that they somehow start getting like, a resurgence of followers being like, you know what, this isn't this doesn't as bad as we thought it was, or this isn't looked at the way we thought it was. Because I feel that like in other fandoms, like obviously I'm in the Power Ranger fandom, but like we look at other seasons now is like, because there's certain seasons that were like, oh man, that was bad. But now you almost look back and you're like, actually on second rewatch, this aged really well, and it has like other points that made this a decent story.
So let me ask you a question, because you've seen a lot more Power Rangers than I have.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot more Star Trek than you have. One of the things with Star Trek is it tackles social issues. Like
Yes.
that's kind of its thing, and that's what everything is centered around, is exploring strange new worlds, meeting new people, and kind of bringing societies together. What do you think the overall theme of Power Rangers is?
So it all depends. And if you can find those themes deeper if you look into Power Rangers deeper, and I think that's the thing that goes overlooked. And I think it's under the guise of a kid's show, which kind of does itself a disadvantage. But at the same time, there are social commentary issues that are inherently in Power Rangers. You want to take Heirloom's comment real quick?
What was he saying? So Heirloom says, I think they do. DS9 is a perfect example as it's very political. But when you're a kid, you saw the ship goes to the trouble where the trouble comes to Cisco.
It's very
exactly.
Very cool concept. But for Power Rangers, I feel like those themes are there, and even seasons that are super underlooked, I think those themes are there. For example, I'm just going to throw one out there. And I know that's not highly regarded as being a good Power Ranger season, but it's out there. But Megaforce, Power Rangers Megaforce isn't regarded as
was Ciara Hanna's season.
Ciara Hanna's
right?
first season, yeah. If you look at the subtext that's actually there, it's them fighting these robots. But at the core of their humanity, they never look at robots as being, they look at them as equals to being human. And that's a great social commentary on the way it is. Now, that's a completely overview of it.
Right.
There's a lot of intricacies there. But there's also great character development in some of the characters. Obviously not in a lot of the characters, but in some of the characters. Those moments are there. They're just not executed as well, because it's unfortunate that Power Rangers can't necessarily, or maybe at least then they weren't doing serialized storytelling, which really hinders it in a lot of ways. And actually, even in this first season of Enterprise, serialized storytelling isn't really present there either.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because it's a combination. It's not as serialized as the last few seasons of Deep Space Nine were, but it's not as episodic as like Next Generation was. Like there's a clear forward momentum throughout the course of this first season. It's just that most of the episodes are fairly self-contained.
Right. So let's get more deeper into this episode. What are some other highlights from it?
So for me, we started talking about the whole thing with them making that recording for the school.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was great because Trip was trying to get out of it. Like you could clearly tell that he didn't want anything to do with this. But Phlox was like chomping at the bit. Like he was so.
He's a ham.
Yeah, for me, like this.
I love Phlox.
This was like the first, not the first episode where I really got into Phlox as a character, because like we saw him. What was it, 2 episodes ago?
Yeah.
On the Terra Nova episode where he got to shine a little bit too. But this one, just seeing him be him, like it was fantastic.
I think Phlox is one of the best fleshed out characters in this show, and it's in a way it's kind of unfortunate you don't get him enough. But I love the fact that he's not overexposed.
Yeah,
because there's an episode in season 4 that is to me the Phlox mic drop, and it's kind of like because he's a fun character at heart, and he does everything in such a quirky manner. But you know what episode I'm talking about, where he kind of takes over. He doesn't. Well, there's one where he takes over the ship, but there's also one. We'll talk about it. We're just going to briefly mention this. Is that he kind of gets kidnapped and he releases this virus. He's kind of like, "Hey, you want to fuck with me? Biological warfare.
Yeah.
There, deal with it." And I was like, "Whoa!" Like Phlox is savage, man. I love that character. I love Phlox. He's so good.
So when coming back to this episode, what did you think about the storyline with? Because there were a lot of like just little like side quest stories here that didn't really have anything to do with anything else. Like this thing with school.
Number one, I love Travis, and here's the thing: I love that we start off with Travis too, in a way, because he's such a great point of view character that you can just relate to. Hey, what's going on, Ninja Snipes? Nice to welcome to the chat. He's such a great POV character, and I love the stories that he tells. And ironically enough, even though he's our audience, you hate Star Trek, sorry you're here, but we recommend that you give this show a chance. It's actually pretty cool. Because I used to think the same thing, not gonna lie, and I got into it and I really love it. But he is such a great character for being so inexperienced on the crew. However, ironically, he has the most experience with off-planet stuff.
Right.
Which I love that dichotomy of that character. I love that. I love when you peel that onion back. He almost has more insight into space exploration than a lot of his crew does, which I find him a complete asset on the show.
Yeah, I also when him and who was it that went down to the comet with him?
Was it Reed?
Yeah, and Reed down the planet. I mentioned this before, but just like the snowman.
Yeah.
Like, but leading up to that, with Reed just being like, "Listen, we'll figure out how to have fun when we get there." They go down to the planet, and like you could tell that Archer and the crew were all watching them build the snowman and letting them do it. Well, actually, no, they weren't, because Archer was like, "You want to tell me which one of you did that?"
Yeah. I see. This is another thing too. It's those character moments, it's character building with his crew.
Yeah.
I feel like Archer is connected with his crew, and I feel like their crew to me feels like a family. It really does. But I like where we start off in the beginning here, because T'Pol is still very standoffish, and she still has her reservations. And I feel like, and it's interesting because even watching it forward, Trip and T'Pol really do remind me of Sawyer and Kate in Lost.
Well, I feel like this episode was supposed to be a setup for us to ship them together.
But it's interesting is the further we go throughout the series, I feel like there's little hints they try to ship T'Pol with almost every male character except Travis on the show.
Right.
And I'm not the biggest fan of that, because I think T'Pol's such a strong character on her own. I didn't feel that she needed that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
But I do like that when we get there, it's with Trip, because they're such an awkward couple.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so in this episode, who was it? Hoshi found
It was Hoshi.
Hoshi finds
Hoshi's great, by the way.
an encrypted communication from the Enterprise to the Vulcan ship, and no one knows why it was there. They trace it back to T'Pol's quarters, and then once they decode it, they find out that it was just a very personal message about this wedding, this arranged marriage that she had,
which pops up later on down the line.
Oh, does it?
That whole thing, yeah, because actually,
I don't remember.
It's like towards the end of season 3 is
Okay.
when that pays off.
Do you meet the guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't know what happened.
I don't remember.
Oh man. Yeah. So towards the end of season 3, I believe, or even the beginning of season 4. I mean, essentially, that's also why. Well, spoilers ahead, but it's almost a 20-year-old show, guys. But it's why Trip leaves the Enterprise to go to the other ship. Because
I do kind of vaguely remember this.
So like it's fascinating that pays off so much. This is what I also like too. That setup. There you get these little Easter eggs of like, okay, we're gonna give you something. Remember it, because it'll pay off.
Right.
And maybe that's why you talked about Lower Decks earlier, being like, okay, these are little things that I remember.
Right.
But speaking of Lower Decks, I want to move over to what Erlem said just a while ago in the chat. He was talking about the show, and he says he thinks that it would be amazing if it wasn't set in the Star Trek universe, but it's its own things. Lower Decks.
Yeah. I can see that. I think for me, it's almost kind of, like when you see nostalgia stuff. Like, do you ever watch Robot Chicken?
Yeah, of course.
I
love Robot Chicken.
And it's not necessarily the funniest show that's out there, but it's like, oh my god, it's Transformers, or look at that, they're doing that.
I love Robot. I've always liked Robot Chicken.
I think it's funny, but I think the nostalgia plays into it. Like they lean heavily on the nostalgia, and you remembering these specific things and how stupid they were. And I feel like that's kind of what Lower Decks does, is it plays into you remembering all these weird things that were kind of illogical from the past in Star Trek. Like in last week's episode of Lower Decks, they had, was it last week? It was either last week or the week before. They had the main character. She had to clean out the holodecks, and one of the jokes was that she was cleaning out body fluids.
Oh yeah,
because that's what people use the holodecks for.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So that kind of came back this past week with the Badgie character, was just like all these weird things about holodecks. And so if you're not familiar with how those were used and those weird tropes, that's why it might not be for everyone.
I mean, I'm excited to watch it. But do we have any notes about this episode?
Yeah. Let me pull them up. I didn't have time to make any
Cards.
on-screen stuff this week because I've been busy dealing with fire stuff.
That's right. California is burning. And Josh has legitimately become a fire chaser.
Man, if
not by choice.
Yeah.
But
if you guys, this is completely off topic, but if you guys are interested in seeing what is actually happening in California right now, if you go to the Discovery Channel and look up Cal Fire, we've got teams out there that are shooting everything that's going on, and you can see some of the stuff. It's so bizarre. Like you've seen the pictures from San Francisco where it looks like
that's where a couple members
like
of our
Blade
team.
Runner.
Yeah, a couple members of our team live up there. It's a couple members of our team up there. Brax and TC are both up there. So we hope that they're all safe. But yeah, I was seeing some of their stuff too, and it looks crazy.
Let's see. So we've got some production history here. This stuff really isn't all that interesting to me. They go through like the dates that they were shooting these, which looks like it was between August and September of 2001. Let's see. Production. All right. This episode features the Timur, the Vulcan ship. How do they pronounce that?
I don't know.
You guys can spell it out for us in the chat. So that'll help us out. The first major Vulcan High Command starship seen in all of Star Trek. So I guess that's a thing where we haven't seen that version of a Vulcan ship before. Koss, who later appeared in Home, The Forge, and Kirshara, is first mentioned in this episode. The episode effectively begins the T'Pol-Tucker personal relationship, which is what we were talking about earlier, and its title is thus a double entendre. It is the first time Tucker enters T'Pol's quarters, and the first time she shares personal information with him. The pecan pie she has in her quarters at the end of the story is also the first time T'Pol is seen eating unambiguously human food for her own enjoyment. It is noteworthy that she signals her personal rebellion from Vulcan tradition with one of Tucker's favorite desserts.
So sometimes after watching these episodes, I do get inspired to eat the Star Trek food. And
pecan or pecan?
I say pecan. But regardless, I feel that if there is a Star Trek cuisine that I am the most fond of, it is Trip's choice.
Catfish?
Of fried catfish, pan-fried catfish, and pecan pie.
I need to try catfish again. Like when I was a kid, I hated catfish.
I love it.
But I feel like now, as your taste kind of changes as you get older. So I want to give it another shot.
I'm a full-grown man that loves catfish. So I'm all about that life. I think that I relate to it's interesting too. Because if I'm not mistaken, there's only two aliens on this ship. It's just T'Pol and it's just Phlox.
Phlox? I think they're the only two that we've actually really seen.
But they're the only ones that are on the crew.
That have any prominent.
Because I even remember there's an episode where it's like them talking about that, where it's just the two of them.
Which, yeah, I mean, but that also makes sense because this is the first spacefaring human vessel.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's a great framing tool for observation for humanity.
Well, and that's. I think that's also where the dichotomy between Phlox and T'Pol really kind of comes into play. Is those moments that you get with the two of them when they're talking about whatever's happening. You get Phlox's perspective where he's just interested and excited and just really engrossed in everything that's happening, and T'Pol is just, oh, they shouldn't be doing this. This isn't the right way to do this.
So Heirloom says there's a Neelix cookbook they released, which is interesting.
That's from Voyager.
And Daniel's really trying to get this Orange Ruffy thing over. Catfish, I think, is better than Orange Ruffy, in my opinion.
I don't think I've ever had Orange Ruffy.
It's similar to Catfish, but I think, me personally, I'm a Catfish guy because I just like it. I've always liked Catfish, though. I've never not liked it, I don't think. So, it is what it is. We got any fun trivia? Is that pretty much it?
This episode was nominated for an Emmy Award in the category Outstanding Special Visual Effects for a Series in 2002. The stuff with the comic did look really good.
Yeah. One thing that I think goes underlooked for this whole season is that, or not even just this whole season, but this whole series, is that the visuals are actually really good.
Actually, fun fact about that too, it actually lost out to the pilot episode.
Really?
So the pilot won an Emmy for best visual effects up against this episode.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Good job on Catfish, Sway, and Orange Ruffy are all great fried fish. They are. Daniel's right. They are correct.
See, Dominic Keating.
I love Dominic Keating.
He found his work on this outing to be particularly extensive. He is stated as saying, "I did a whole 10 days in that suit on that comet. Meanwhile, dealing with the difficulty of removing the costume he wore to represent an EV suit, Keating experienced some stress due to Anthony Montgomery's energetic and talkative behavior. There just come a point in the day on that episode where I just go, Anthony, shut up, mate. We're calling, shouting, and you could hear, oh, I'm sorry, man. Sorry, dude. Hard work, mate, in that EV suit pretending to be weightless. So it sounds like they had a good back and forth while they were shooting their scenes together.
See, that's what I love to hear. Like, how fun are some of those stories, right? Like, this is what I love. I really do feel like this cast really did bond, and it does feel like this weird fascination. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott Bakula's one of the only captains to actually come in having a name prior to being a captain. Is that right?
As big of a name.
Big of a name.
Yeah. Because, I mean, obviously Avery Brooks was known for his work on Spencer and A Man Called Hawk.
Heirloom. Yo, let's put out a challenge to Heirloom. How about this? Next, let's get Heirloom. If you're down next week, let's do an episode of Enterprise. You can be on our third cast member next week. And let's go over the next episode together and kind of do the Star Trek show.
We're only 9 episodes in.
Only 9 episodes in. And Heirloom, if you're in, we're in. I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I know there's a time difference.
Or if you don't think you can catch up by next week, we can go.
Heirloom's in jolly old England right now. Like, I don't know what you're doing in England. I know he lives by Liverpool. He's a good buddy, but we've chatted a little bit. I love to have Heirloom on this show.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We can get him. Maybe Orange Ranger will want to come on for another one down the line.
I know. Orange Ranger. So I wrote a tweet. Yeah. This mirror episode really, really jarred me because I was just not expecting it.
Right.
So I wrote a tweet.
Did you know that it was coming?
No, because I like doing 2 things now with Power Rangers and with Star Trek. I don't want to know what episode's next.
Oh, he's in.
Just want to experience. All right, he's in. We're doing it. He does English stuff. That's true. So the way that I kind of want to see, or the way that I'm doing this is I don't necessarily know what's going on with the episode. So when it started off, I was like, oh shit, like that's a turn.
Right.
Then it was different music, almost a different opening. And I was like, man, this is dark. What is going on right now? So I think I wrote a tweet that was kind of like, hey, like this is kind of crazy that I'm so used to hearing this Rod Stewart sounding song.
Right.
Orange Ranger videos, like the Rod Stewart sounding song is Rod Stewart.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
So it was great. But yeah, I would love to have Heirloom on this show and Orange Ranger videos. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But catching up on Enterprise, I think, is a great way to really set the tone for what Star Trek is.
Absolutely. Like when you came to me with this idea of watching in chronological order from Enterprise, I was not concerned about it, but I was wary about how it would work out. Not because there's a lot of reference, like the Mirror Universe episode, like that's first introduced in the original series. So some of these things that you're seeing, you're not necessarily going to have the backstory for, but it's not now that we're 8 episodes into it, it seems like it's not a bad way to go.
No, I'm really enjoying Star Trek this way. So Heirloom, it's going to be fun having you on board next week to talk about this stuff. Now, I mean, this episode is a great character builder. There's not a ton of like flashy moments.
Yeah, and I don't know that we're going to get anything from. Well, you said that we do get callbacks to this episode later.
We do.
But like anything else? Is there anything else from this episode that stood out to you that you now remember seeing later on in the series?
Honestly, no. But I will say that the one thing that I absolutely remember is kind of like the camaraderie with the crew. I felt like that's where we started. That's where you could start seeing their personalities really start to shine. And I think that initially watching the first episode, I was immediately hooked. But these moments, these character moments, are what I love about the show.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, story is great, and I love that the story in certain episodes progresses in a certain way and moves in a certain way. But sometimes you need those, and I like calling these like the palate cleansers. Like this is one of those episodes.
It's kind of a filler episode.
It's kind of a filler episode, but it's giving you enough that you're starting to understand and empathize with the characters a little bit more.
Right.
And I think that's the importance of this crew. This crew is all a character-driven crew. I do, though, wish Hoshi had a little bit more shine because I feel like she's an underrated character throughout all 4 seasons. Like,
right.
I wish there was more for her to do.
I feel like Hoshi is almost...
Well, she gets replaced by a tricorder eventually.
Yeah. Like, she has a little bit more airtime, but I feel like she's almost like Barkley was in Next Generation. Like, he was a recurring character that was... he was Face from A-Team.
Right.
Like, he pops up a lot, but at the same time...
Was Face from A-Team not, like, regular?
On Next Generation? No.
Wait, I didn't even know he was on Next Generation.
Yeah.
Face from A-Team is on Next Generation?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he made like...
I actually thought you were just talking about the A-Team. Like, he wasn't a regular on the A-Team.
No. He was a regular on the A-Team. He wasn't a regular on Next Generation.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was on this.
He popped up like a couple of times per season.
Yo, one episode I just watched, James Avery is a Klingon.
Oh, yeah. Wait. Like an episode of Deep Space Nine or an episode
of
is he?
Enterprise. James Avery is a Klingon.
I don't remember that one.
Yes, it is amazing.
Because there's an episode in Deep Space Nine where him and a couple of the other crew members dress up like Klingons.
Yeah, James Avery is a Klingon. Also,
Wait, sorry. Thinking Avery Brooks. James Avery.
James Avery. There's also from
Uncle Phil. Yeah.
There's also we talked about this before. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is an alien in Star Trek Enterprise. You know what? Keith Robinson, I believe, from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue's in it.
Really?
Yeah. He's in one of the last episodes I watched. Man, I really enjoy this show though.
It's interesting that there's such a crossover between Star Trek and
Power Rangers. That fan film The Order was going to have Power Ranger Power Ranger and Star Trek
because there's someone from one of the more recent Power Ranger seasons that was in the first season of Discovery.
Yeah, Chris Violette.
Yeah, from
SPD. That's right. Power Rangers and Star Trek have like I said, they have very parallel, meager beginnings and are both vying for the opposite fan base. Like Star Trek is going younger, and you see Power Rangers. I mean, they're still going younger too, but I want them to go older.
Yeah,
so it is pretty cool.
So Erlem says that Barkley, Face from A-Team, comes into it a few more times in the middle seasons.
Diva Tox is in Deep Space Nine from Power Rangers Turbo.
Okay, who was she in Deep Space Nine? I don't remember that either.
It's crazy. The Power Ranger
Deep Space Nine is a really recent watch for me.
That's fascinating.
Favorite episode with Barkley though was definitely the Nth Degree, which they referenced in this last episode of Lower Decks too.
Well, look, I'm so excited to what do we have next week? What episode are we doing next week?
Next week, let me see what we got here is episode 9, obviously, because this week we're on episode 8. Next week is not linked here. Let's see.
While he figures that out, I'm going to stall for time.
Civilization. During a morning briefing detailing possible phenomena for the Enterprise NX-01 to visit, T'Pol mentions 2 stellar phenomena nearby. Mildly impressed, Archer asks her to continue. Trip chimes in to mention an M-class planet on their course with 500 million life signs, and they go and check it out.
Now, Erlem says that she's one of the advanced humans like Bashir, like a collector.
Oh, I do remember her now. Yeah.
Which Diva Talks, though? Is it Hillary Shepard Turner or Carol Holt?
I don't remember the names.
Fascinating. I did not know that.
But she's the one that was in the final episode of In Space.
Yes. She is in the final episode of In Space.
Yeah, but no, it's that actress.
Oh, it's that one. Okay. I don't know which one that is.
Yeah. I don't know what her name is.
That's awesome.
That's the one. Yeah, she's but Bashir is genetically modified. And,
Donnie Pearson, you're in this chat a lot, and I think I'm going to make you a admin in here. I don't know how to do that.
If you click on the 3 dots next to his name.
I see, yeah, I get report, remove, put in timeout, or hide this channel.
Huh. Let's see, maybe I can do that from my end here. Oh, maybe it's because you're what you're logged in as.
Oh, no, add moderator. I got it. I just didn't see it all. But I'm making Donnie Pearson a mod. Congratulations, Donnie Pearson. You're doing the Lord's work. But, I mean, for the most part, this episode overall I thought was really good. It's a great filler episode because the
absolutely.
one thing is that like for filler episodes, in order for me to consider them good, they have to catch my attention, and it doesn't need to feel like a filler.
Yeah, this episode, like I was watching
Hillary Shepard Turner. Thank you, Heirloom.
I was watching this in my hotel room last night.
I'm gonna make Heirloom a mod too.
Yeah, good call. We should call them Makos.
Why Makos?
Because in Enterprise, the Makos are the military section of Starfleet that kind of oversees everything.
Nice.
What was I saying?
That's the we talking, boys. No, I'm just kidding.
Not yet. I was watching this last night in my hotel room, and I was working on a couple of other things at the same time. But like, as soon as the stuff with them making the recording for the school came up, I put everything else down. And I just sat down on the couch and I started watching it like all straight out.
Hey, Heirloom, how tall are you? I know that's a really random question, but the only reason I ask is because me and JD actually we're trying to figure it out because JD says he saw Heirloom at Morphicon last year.
Okay.
And he knew like he's seen his stuff.
Right.
But we were trying to gauge it because believe it or not, like Eric Berry, you've met Eric. Have you met Eric?
Maybe.
How tall do you think he is?
It seems like he's about my height.
He's tall. He's like 6'2" or 6'3".
Really?
He's like 6'2", 6. He's pretty tall.
I think I've only seen Heirloom sitting down behind his computer.
Toku Chris is also, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like he's 6 foot. So me and Heirloom about the same height.
Yeah.
So that it is interesting though because like I don't know, you would like George Jr. I didn't know that he's 6'3".
Oh wow.
Right. So it's a lot of these people you just don't know that are like.
Now I feel really short. I'm like 5'9", 5'10"-ish.
Yeah. I'm also 6 foot, roughly 6'1". So I'm right there with
Brandon. How tall are you?
5'10".
Yeah, see?
Yeah, so
Like
I don't feel so bad now.
Yeah, George
human size.
George Jr. is 6'3". I didn't know that. So it's fascinating just gauging that. Like I was just curious about that. But yeah, man, I love this episode. I think it's great. It's fun.
Yeah, this was fun. What's your rating? Warp factor what?
Oh man, I'm gonna give this a solid. I'm gonna give it a 3. Like filler episode, yes, but we get so much fun character building moments. It's not boring, and it is a middle of the line episode for me. So yeah, I think it's fun.
I'm gonna rate it a little bit higher. I'm gonna give it a 4. I just had a lot of fun watching this episode, and while I was disappointed that the storyline with T'Pol's encrypted message ended the way I enjoyed that it ended the way it ended, but I wish it had been kind of drawn out over the episode and become like a bigger mystery than it was. But outside of that, I really enjoyed it.
It was a lot of fun. So we'll be back next week talking more Star Trek. Crystal will be back. So I know a lot of people like Crystal. She'll be back. And we're going to be talking. And Heirloom is going to be here next week. So Heirloom is going to be joining us on our show. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we're working on another. Heirloom and I are working on something else behind the scenes. So that's going to be pretty cool too. What else do we got? Star Trek.
For Star Trek, like we mentioned earlier, we've got Crystal coming up with her reviews of episodes 5 and 6 of Star Trek Lower Decks. And then episode 9 next week. Tomorrow, I will be here with Corey and maybe Elle discussing episodes 13 through 16, I believe, of
Lightspeed.
Power
Rangers Lost Galaxy.
Power Rangers Lost Galaxy.
Heirloom does ask, random question, if both of you seen First Contact.
Oh, yeah.
I have not.
Like, First Contact...
One of the only ones I like.
So Brandon actually likes that one. He's not a Star Trek guy. I enjoyed First Contact. I'm weird because I kind of like Generations. First Contact I like
Generations.
better.
I remember watching that too.
But I also liked Insurrection. A lot of people didn't like that one or Nemesis. I liked Insurrection.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week talking more Star Trek. Heirloom is going to be joining us, and Crystal will be back next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be on episode 9. So join us over there. We don't have the membership thing yet, huh, do we?
Not yet. That'll be coming soon. Kind of like with Patreon, you'll be able to join the Illuminerdi as a member through YouTube.
Should be pretty flippin' awesome. But guys, thank you so much for joining us as we boldly go where this YouTube channel has not gone before.
That is a fact.
And we're traveling to new territory here with Star Trek. So thank you for joining us on our journey, and we hope that you guys enjoy the show. And we hope that for a lot of you guys that haven't seen Enterprise, this is a good way to maybe join us along this journey. So thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate it. please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. I will tease something right now. We have a Marvel story coming up on Monday. So you're going to want to tune into that. And also...
Is it about Galactus?
No, but we
Silver
also...
Surfer.
Nope, but we also have Crystal's review that's going to be on there too. So to let you guys know, we have a lot of cool things brewing here at the Illuminerdi all the time. So thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Live long and prosper.
Long and prosper.